Episode 1 of Adolescence begins with DI Luke Bascom on a morning patrol with his partner, DS Misha Frank. They laugh over his son trying to bunk school before they get a report. With a squad, they storm into the Miller household. The suspect is their 13-year-old son, Jamie Miller, who is accused of murdering someone with a kitchen knife. Chaos ensues as the cops break the door and create a mess as they search for evidence. The parents and his sister are shocked and scared. However, Bascom and the rest of the cops are kind to Jamie, who is having a breakdown. They gently explain his rights to him and tell him what to do. As for his parents, they're sure it is all a mistake. Instead, they are busy ensuring that they have evidence to file against the squad for property damage. Mrs. Miller is further confused though when Jamie asked for Eddie, his dad, to be his supervising adult. It seems that Eddie is short-tempered and not very good under pressure. Alone, Bascom is worried about Eddie as he recalls an old case where the father was abusing his son. The psychiatrist begins her assessment here and concludes that he is bright and pretty clever. Bascom also helps them get a court-appointed lawyer, Paul Barlow. He's briefed in and we learn that the murder took place at 10:13 PM the previous night. Jamie has scratches on his arm and there seems to be blood at the scene as well, but when Paul digs in, Bascom is uncooperative. Jamie is calm when they start with the medical checkup though, but it's Eddie who's upset when the cops insist on a physical checkup. Paul is no help as it will weaken Jamie's defense if he refuses. During the prep, Paul advises Jamie to say no comment whenever he's unsure about his answer. As a trial, he asks Jamie where he was the previous night and the boy simply says no comment. Eddie is worried and Paul hints that the cops have concrete evidence for them to bring in Jamie on just a report. Eddie asks Jamie for the truth and the boy insists he is innocent. He looks relieved that Eddie believes him. Finally, the interview with the cops begins. Jamie gives them the no comment treatment again until they bring out his Instagram. He has had problems last year in school despite being a smart student. He posts photos of models and makes aggressive innuendo comments. He's friends with Ryan and Tommy and claims whatever he does, Tommy makes him. Next, the evidence is brought up. Jamie's shoe has been found at the crime scene and a Katie Leonard is mentioned, which Jamie immediately asks if she's dead. Bascom notes down that reaction, while Frank wonders if there was something sexual going on between the kids. Jamie insists he didn't see Katie last night. The cops resume their grilling as they reveal her body was found at Crowther's car park at 10:30 PM. Jamie doesn't tell them the time he came home and Eddie catches on. When asked, Eddie doesn't give a specific time, claiming he was on the call when Jamie came home. The interrogation gets to Jamie when they describe Katie's dead body with 7 stab wounds. Paul wants a break, but Eddie wants to get it over with. Unfortunately, there's CCTV footage of Tommy, Ryan, Jamie and Katie at 7:43 PM at Meadow Square. At 9:43 PM, the CCTV catches Jamie following Katie. This goes on until about 9:47 PM, and Eddie is upset and confronts Jamie. The final pièce de résistance is the car park CCTV footage. Katie pushes Jamie and he grabs her. He throws her to the ground and we see stabbing motions. The Miller men start crying while Bascom pushes for a motive. Alone, Jamie begs his dad to talk to him. Eddie flinches from his touch before hugging him. Jamie insists it wasn't him though, which brings an end to episode 1 of Adolescence. Episode 2 of Adolescence begins on day 3. The cops visit the school and Tommy and Ryan look nervous. Ryan keeps asking about the incident and the knife, and while Tommy's parents have warned him not to talk about it, Ryan certainly doesn't want to get Jamie into trouble. Nearby, Bascom's son Adam gets bullied by a classmate called Fredo. The teachers are annoyed that the parents are worried about the students' safety since the crime happened outside. They also scoff at the idea of metal detectors and therapists for the kids. Some older children also want to mess up Jamie for killing Katie. The cops next question Katie's friend, Jade. They wonder if Jamie was a friend since Katie left comments on his social media. This angers Jade though, who doesn't understand why they're investigating as they have CCTV footage. But Bascom explains they need further evidence as they don't have the murder weapon nor a motive. Jade is frustrated by their investigation and storms off. The cops believe Jamie hid the knife at school since he walked past according to the CCTV from that night. Before they can question another class though, a fire alarm goes off. The teachers believe it's a false alarm and are alarmingly lackadaisical about the whole thing. Jamie's teacher, Malik, is a lost case as he doesn't seem to take his job seriously at all. On the ground, Jade picks a fight with Ryan and calls him a murderer. Tommy runs off in the chaos and, surprised by the incident, the cops question Ryan. Bascom bonds with him as Ryan learns the cop was popular in school. He keeps asking if Bascom hung out with girls and Bascom humours him, but the moment he asks about the motive, Ryan shuts up. He gives vague answers before running off when the knife is mentioned. In another classroom, Jade's teacher informs her that her mother has been alerted of the fight. Jade breaks down as she doesn't have a good relationship with her mother, and Katie was the only one who understood her. The teacher believes Jade lashed out at Ryan out of grief and suggests a therapist. Seeing that the teacher doesn't understand why she's angry, Jade runs off. Nearby, Adam timidly approaches his father, and we learn that they are actually quite distant. However, Adam believes Bascom is embarrassing himself by assuming Katie and Jamie were friends because of their social media exchange. In a shocking twist, Adam reveals that Katie was actually cyberbullying Jamie by commenting emojis, which means incel. Bascom doesn't believe him, and a frustrated Adam tries to leave. Bascom realizes that the same thing must be happening to his son and tries to comfort him. Adam is uncomfortable though, and Bascom lets him go. Shocked by this revelation, the cops rant about the state of the school, from the irresponsible teachers to the brash students. Frank is upset that the victim is always sidelined, as society only cares about the killer and their motive. Bascom explains here though that a motive is the closure the victim and the bereaved deserve. He tries to talk to Ryan again, but the boy makes a run for it. Bascom chases until the end of the street and ends up confronting him. Ryan claims Tommy knows more, but Bascom has had enough. The cops grill him until Ryan reveals that the knife is his and Jamie was just supposed to scare Katie. Ryan is arrested for conspiracy to murder. Bascom decides they have had enough and orders Frank to officially charge Jamie with murder. As the commotion dies down, Bascom is overwhelmed. School is over and he spots Adam loitering around. Bascom approaches and he confesses that he wants to spend time with him. Adam is hesitant but agrees to a meal, and they playfully banter as they leave. And at the end of episode 2, Jade is lost before she heads out of school. In the parking lot, an upset Eddie leaves flowers for Katie where her body was found. Episode 3 of Adolescence begins 7 months later, with Jamie being assigned therapist after therapist. His latest is a woman called Bryony, who seems to be making some headway as they're friendly and playful together. When she shows up, Bryony is told that Jamie has gotten into a fight with another inmate. She gets him food and a drink that he likes, and the start of the session is good. She subtly leads a conversation by bringing up her grandparents, his grandparents, and then the men of his family. He picks up on it though and feels that she's trying to trick him into talking about his feelings. Bryony explains that she is on his side and her report on him will help the judge understand him and his motives better. Over the minutes, it becomes evident that Jamie is just not very well settled. He has subtle mood swings as he goes from sincere playfulness to mocking. He gets annoyed when she asks about his feelings on his family and why he got into a fight in the first place. She comes clean here and shares that her goal is to get his thoughts on masculinity. Eventually, he confesses that his dad is an angry man before backtracking that Eddie is not an abuser. Jamie thinks Bryony is trying to get Eddie into trouble, but confesses that things are tense when it comes to sports. Eddie takes him to play football and feels ashamed every time Jamie makes a mistake. He expects Bryony to act like his dad after this revelation and is confused when she doesn't. He's not able to get a read on Bryony, and that makes him want to lash out and say cruel things, but she doesn't take the bait. Jamie doesn't really understand the limbo he's in as he's placed in a training center. He wants to either go home or be put in prison. He gets angry, insisting that he would accept his punishment if he were an actual killer. He throws a glass and gets aggressive, shouting and swearing at Bryony until the guards show up. He apologizes though and asks for another drink. Bryony pretends to be calm, but once she's outside, it's clear that she's very much overwhelmed. She checks the CCTV and the CO wonders if she can get a read from Jamie's body language. Upon seeing that Jamie looks abashed, she takes on an offensive approach instead. She barges in and makes it clear that this case is the priority. He's apologetic, but he once again gets defensive when she asks about his father and how he treats his mother. Bryony then switches tactic, asking how he feels about women and female friendships instead. He insists that he's not gay, and Bryony asks him to describe an ideal date night, to which he replies a movie followed by a make-out session. He lies that he's done stuff with girls before eventually coming clean about the truth. In his ramblings, he ends up revealing that Katie's nudes were leaked. Turns out, a classmate called Fidget manipulates girls into sending him nudes, and then he shares them with the male classmates of the school. And Jamie is just annoyed that Fidget got caught, so he won't get any nudes anymore. Bryony brings up sexual attraction here, and he claims no one likes him because he's ugly. He gets defensive once more when she wonders why he feels that way, but he believes she's putting words in his mouth. He gets all up in her face and tries to scare her, and she's pretty disturbed, but Bryony does manage to calm him down by sympathizing with him for the bullying he and his friends face. Next, they talk talk about his Instagram and how he uses it to look at other accounts. She also questions why he posts models his photos instead of his own. Bryony brings up Katie's comments but slips up and mentions Facebook. He mocks her for being scared and tired of him, but he gets back on track as he explains the incel comments and how he doesn't like or relate to that ideology. Bryony wants to know why Katie targeted him, and he mocks her as if she's on the verge of a breakthrough. But he reveals what went down anyway, because after the leak he apologised to Katie and asked her out, hoping that with everyone teasing her, she would be desperate for some positive attention. Unfortunately though, she just laughed at him and then started cyberbullying. He hopes Bryony can relate to him, and in his rambling he declares that on that fateful night he could have sexually assaulted Katie, but he didn't. Bryony's eyes darken and he apologises, saying he didn't really mean the way that he said that. Bryony tries to make him understand the severity of murder and then declares that this is their last session together. Jamie starts panicking though, as he doesn't want her to go. He wants to know if she likes him and begs her not to tell his dad. He screams and bangs on the walls as he's dragged away. Bryony is overwhelmed by the session and struggles to wrap up as episode 3 of Adolescence comes to an end. Episode 4 of Adolescence takes place 13 months later. It's Eddie's 50th birthday and the Millers are trying to regain some sense of normalcy here. His wife, Amanda, cooks him breakfast and they're loving. Jamie sends a card with a drawing of Eddie, who looks at it fondly. However, their day is ruined when someone vandalizes their van. The slang left behind is an insult that means paedophile. Their neighbours refuse to cooperate in identifying the culprits. Eddie pretends everything is fine, but Amanda forces him to address the elephant in the room. Jamie is going to trial in 4 weeks' time. The system is currently hiding him, so the public is getting angsty and lashing out at them. She wants to move to Liverpool with her mum, but Eddie refuses. He ends up screaming as they haven't actually done anything wrong. His eldest daughter, Lisa, is upset and Amanda checks on her. They try to strike a conversation, but Lisa is frustrated. The insult is ill-suited as Jamie is a kid who made a mistake while Eddie is innocent. Outside, Eddie tries to wash off the paint, but to no avail. Some kids jeer at him as they cycle off. This happens to be the last straw, and a worried Eddie hauls in the family to get some supplies from the store. The parents try to cheer Lisa up by bantering and planning an outing. We also learn here that they go to a couple's therapist. They plan a cinema date and dinner for the night and end up reminiscing about their youth. Amanda reveals here that Eddie used to love to dance and he never cared what anyone thought of him. He was also quite funny and used to make Amanda laugh. Once they're in the store though, the mood sours as a worker recognises Eddie. The paint won't wash off, so he needs to repaint the entire van. On top of that, the worker is a fan, claiming Jamie has been framed. Eddie's space is out until he checks out and heads to the van. Unfortunately, he runs into those same kids from before. He catches one of them and roughs him up, believing they're the ones who actually painted the van. As the boy runs off, Eddie decides to fix the van then and there. He throws the paint on the graffiti and causes a scene when a security guard stops him. As the Millers drive off, Jamie calls to wish Eddie happy birthday. He finally reveals that he is going to plead guilty. Eddie is speechless and Amanda fills in the silence. She and Lisa pretend everything is normal, but they're crying. Jamie is unaware as he awkwardly chats with them and hangs up. Lisa and Amanda are worried for Eddie as he quietly heads home. Amanda finds Eddie getting ready for the movies and pretending everything is fine once again. They end up fighting as she forces him to face the truth. He refuses as he cannot accept that Jamie is a killer. The tables turn here though, as Amanda feels guilty for not seeing the signs and helping Jamie in the first place. The blame game ensues, with Eddie blaming himself while Amanda blames herself. Finally, they reassure each other that they cannot control what pops up on the internet or what kids do when they're alone. We learn here that Eddie's dad used to beat him and he promised never to touch his kids. He wanted to do better, which is why he took Jamie to football to make him stronger. The other dads and kids would laugh at Jamie, which is why Eddie couldn't bear to look. We also learn here that Jamie switches hobbies quite quickly from football to boxing to drawing. Once he got a computer though, he stayed locked up in his room. The Millers once again break down as they wish they'd done more to help. Amanda also believes that Jamie asked for Eddie as his supervisor during the arrest because he would protect him no matter what. Eddie confesses though that he believed Jamie when he said he was innocent, despite seeing the CCTV footage. He wishes Amanda had been the supervisor, so things would have been different. Lisa interrupts here and changes the topic on how they should dress up for the cinema. He apologizes for the scene at the store and she laughs it off as the boys are horrible, but she doesn't want to move as everywhere will be just as terrible, and she declares that Jamie will always be a part of their lives. She decides to order takeout and watch a movie at home, and Eddie is certainly glad for her. As the women head down, Eddie goes to Jamie's room and starts crying, and at the end of episode 4, he tucks in a teddy bear lying on the bed and calmly walks out, having accepted the reality of the situation. Thanks for watching, and do let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Smash a like or subscribe to the channel, your support is very much appreciated. I'm Greg Wheeler, and from all of us over here at The Review Geek, we'll see you on the next video.